Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm so delighted to be here. When I talked to Dean Gill, he asked me to focus on some of the obstacles one has in one's life and how one remains true to themselves to be an excellent leader. And so overcoming obstacles is a topic I know a little bit about. So let me share some background about my growing up years. I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and I'm the youngest of 5 children. When I was 7 years old, my father passed away suddenly from a massive heart attack. He and my mom were actually on the way back from a wake of a dear friend of theirs. My mother was left a widow with 5 children to raise. She was a 4th grade parochial school teacher, and she worked hard and raised us all to believe that hard work and a good education were critical to our success. My brothers and I all worked to make ends meet. Throughout high school and in college, I always worked and went to school, like many of you. It was my freshman year in college when my mother passed away. And not only was she my mom, she was truly my best friend. My mother was a great role model because I always remember her with a smile on her face. I remember her positive attitude and her joy in the little things in life. Her children were her world, and she would go to the ends of the earth to make sure we were all well cared for. Even though she had lost her husband at a young age and had the stress of making ends meet while raising all of us, and we, I'm sure, were a bit of a pain, she just kept going with a smile on her face and a can-do attitude. You see, my mom had great faith. Of course, when she passed, I was grief-stricken, and I didn't want to go back to school, but my oldest brother encouraged me, or perhaps he just made me, go back to college, and he said, well, we'll figure out how we're going to pay for it. Wasn't too long after that I received a call from the financial aid office that they had a check for me. I was a little perplexed. They explained, well, now that you're an orphan, we have additional funds for you. Well, I was truly grateful for the $500 scholarship. At that moment in time, I felt so alone. How was an orphan going to finish college? How was an orphan going to achieve something that my parents would want for me? So, being labeled as an orphan was an early obstacle in my life. So, how was I going to overcome that obstacle? I was able to finish college and graduate school because so many people helped me along the way. Family members, friends, professors, college administrators, and as people reached out to help me, I began feeling just a little more comfortable asking for help. So, Wildcat takeaway number 1. Always ask for help. It's not weak. It's a smart move. There are so many folks in the world that want to help someone. Make it easier for them by letting them know you need their help. Another obstacle in my life was failing to make a living as a working actor. This was my life's dream. My BFA in theater and MA in communications and theater prepared me well for that career. But it is a highly competitive business, and after 10 years of performing, teaching, running a theater company, and waiting tables, probably more on the waiting tables than anything else, I looked in the mirror one day and I said, Kelly Thompson, you are not going to make it. My obstacle was letting go of my dream and finding something else to replace it. So, Wildcat takeaway number 2. If something in your life isn't working, have the courage to let it go. In letting go of acting, a whole new world opened up to me. I worked the next 17 years at National Louis University. I began in an assistant role and worked my way up to vice president for enrollment management. During that time, I had 2 mentors. I know without their guidance and support, I would not have achieved what I have so far. So Wildcat takeaway number 3, seek out a mentor or work so darn hard that a mentor will appear in your life because they know you're a hard worker and that you care deeply about what you're doing. Now, when I was 46 years old, which is pretty darn old, I was having a conversation with my husband, and he basically said to me, you know, what do you really want to achieve in your career? And I thought about it for about a minute, and I blurted out, I really want to be a college president. He sort of laughed. He said, well, that's a good goal to have, but you know, Kelly, you don't have an earned doctorate, and you're not going to be a college president without one. Darn him, he got his PhD at an early time in his life. So here I was, another obstacle. Was I too old? I was fearful. Would I succeed? And I wasn't sure I could overcome those obstacles, but I did know I could do the research to find out the best doctoral program in the country for aspiring college presidents. That program was at the University of Pennsylvania. So I applied, and I was accepted, and a few years later, I earned my degree. Wildcat takeaway number 4, choose your life partner wisely. My husband Clark has been there for me through thick and thin, buying and selling houses, moving to 4 different states, so that I could achieve my dream of becoming a college president. And finally, Wildcat takeaway number 5, an obstacle is only one if you let it be. Thank you.